What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. How's everybody doing today? A bit of a breaking news story coming in the last couple of minutes or so, and it means more outgoings at Manchester United in January. We've already seen Anthony Martial leave on loan in January for 6 months to Sevilla in Spain. There's rumours about Donny van de Beek. Will he go out on loan to Crystal Palace in England? We've got another player leaving as well, but it's not really a player you would have thought of. It's Amad Diallo, because he is leaving on loan for 6 months to go to Rangers in Scotland. Fabrizio Romano broke the story about half an hour or so at the time of recording right now, and we've got some more information about it, if there's a buy clause, the situation surrounding it, etc. So let's get straight into this big story. And Romano, as I mentioned, tweeted about half an hour ago at the time of recording and said, quote, Amad Diallo set to join Rangers on a straight loan from Manchester United. Agreement reached on a 6-month loan and there's no buy option included. So there's no situation where he's going and then Rangers have an option to buy, obligation to buy. It's just a straight loan. Now, Romano continues, Ralf Rangnick approved this move to be completed and signed in the next hours. Here we go soon. Wow. Whilst I was setting up for this video, the here we go has actually been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. He said the following. Amad Diallo's already in Scotland in order to complete his move to Rangers. Done deal, and here we go. Straight loan until June, no buy option, and Manchester United planning with him as a key talent for the future. So there's the situation when it comes to it. A few more details. It's saying that Manchester United trust Amad as a key talent for the future, as I mentioned, and wanted him to go out on loan until June as he needs to be a regular starter. He's already in Scotland, so don't be surprised if you see an official announcement about this in the coming hours or so. I'm sure Rangers and Romano will tweet out the actual Photoshop of Amad in the Rangers kit, etc. And you know what? It was not really a move that I thought was going to happen. I mean, it's one of those ones where it's surprising, but it's not surprising. The reason why it's surprising is just because we hadn't really heard anything surrounding Amad, and when you don't hear anything, the growing assumption is, right, that there's nothing going on. Amad was going to leave in the summer on loan, right? That move to Feyenoord was essentially a done deal. It was, here we go, Fabrizio Romano, and then what happened? He suffered a muscle injury, and therefore the deal fell through. Because of that, he was rehabbing his muscle injury for a while at Manchester United, eventually came back, played the game against Young Boys in the Champions League, had that big opportunity through on goal, didn't he? And didn't go in, and he apologised to the fans after the game, which he didn't need to do. But as Romano says, it's a really important move because he just needs game time. He needs to develop. You have to remember, when we signed Amad, this was a guy that was he was pure potential because he hadn't even really played that much for Atalanta, right? I think he played like 4 games, 5 games. He'd done a lot, obviously, in the under-23s for Atalanta, and a lot of people were raving about his performances in the Atalanta youth side, and reportedly he was being tracked by a lot of people, a lot of clubs around Europe, a lot of people interested, and I think that there was this big expectation, wasn't there? This huge expectation that Manchester United was signing this player for about 40 million and he was going to be this amazing, prodigy, huge talent for the future. And ultimately, like any young talent, he just needs game time to develop. He's 19, so he's at a stage in his development where he needs to be playing games. And Rangers, what a perfect side, because that's a side where you've got a new manager in right now, but they're at the top of the league. They're at the top of the league in the SPL. Last season, of course, they won it. And this season, there is a full-blown title race going on in the Scottish Premier League right now. You've got Rangers who are top of the league with 55 points after 22 games. But Southwick are right there. 22 points, they got 51 points. So they're only 4 points off. So he's stepping into a side that's a winning side. So it's important to ingrain that sort of winning mentality in him. But it's also, obviously the standard of Scottish football maybe is not what it is in the Premier League, obviously. But we're talking about him going into, again, a winning side that's defending a title. So he's involved in a title race. The atmosphere alone, I mean, sometimes the biggest problem, isn't it, when you're a Manchester United player and a young Manchester United player is playing in front of, a huge crowd every single week at Old Trafford, the expectancy of that crowd, the demands of that crowd. How do you handle the atmosphere? Do you sink or swim, as it were, in that atmosphere? And you get all of that and more at Ibrox, right? I mean, if he plays in an Old Firm derby, That's great experience. That's the kind of experience that I would want a young player to go and see if you can thrive in that. Because if you can manage in that kind of atmosphere, in that kind of hostility and pressure environment, and if you can satisfy that rabid fan base, then you'll do well to translate over to Manchester United. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that, they're just, it's exactly like playing for Manchester United. Of course it's not, but in terms of a loan deal, I think it's exactly what Amad needs right now. And he needs to play games, because he's not going to play games at Manchester United this season, of course. He's got way too many people ahead of him. I think maybe he had his chance to maybe get his way into plans for the first team squad when he had that game against Young Boys. I think if anyone truly stood out in that game against Young Boys in the Champions League, we might be looking at a different situation here. But we're not, and I think it's a great move for him. And hopefully, I think he'll play games. I think because, again, I think that Rangers will be looking at this. I mean, I can't speak for Rangers fans because I'm not one, but I think a Rangers fan will be looking at it to say, yeah, I think that's a player that can really do things in the SPL. And again, you talk about competing for trophies. We talk so often, don't we, about some players in this squad not knowing what it's like to compete for a title, or not knowing what it's like to compete for trophies, or anything like that. I mean, talk about going into an environment where he's going to be doing just that, competing for a title. They're always involved when it comes to domestic cups as well. I don't think are they in the Europa League still? You can let me know in the comment section below if they're in the Europa League or not. Either way, if he's still playing in the Europa League, that's great for him as well. I think they are. I want to say that they are, but I might be wrong. I mean, again, I'm not a huge Rangers fan, it must be said. But even if that is the case, again, that's competing there. I think it's quite curious, isn't it? Because, of course, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is the new Rangers manager, replacing Steven Gerrard after Gerrard left and went to Aston Villa. And it's curious because Van Bronckhorst has this huge connection with Feyenoord, right? Ended his career, or begun his career at Feyenoord, ended his career there as well. Was the manager of Feyenoord between 2015 to 2019, I think. Again, I think he had major success there. I want to say he won a league title there at Feyenoord as well. Yeah, he did. I've just got him in front of me. Yeah, he won the league title in 2016 to 2017. So it's interesting that that's where he was going to go, Amad, in the summer. He was going to go to Feyenoord. Now, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was not the manager at the time when they were pursuing Amad in the summer, but you would think, surely, that he would have maybe some connections still to Feyenoord, or maybe some discussions of Feyenoord, and maybe it's a case of he saw that Feyenoord were going after Amad and then went, you know what, maybe I should have a look at this. Maybe I should have a look at this player. Or whether it's a case of Feyenoord spoke to him, said, you know what, we don't actually need Amad anymore, but I'm telling you, this guy's got something. He's going to be available. This is the agent of the player. Have a chat. See if you're interested. And obviously that is the case. So it's an outgoing that is definitely needed. It's an outgoing that, again, I was slightly surprised by, just the sense that we hadn't heard anything. I think when you really think about it, it makes a ton of sense, and I'm really glad, because if he had stayed at Manchester United for the remaining 6 months of the season, he wouldn't have been doing anything. I mean, he wouldn't have been doing anything at all. He would have just been sat on the bench. I mean, maybe he might have played against Middlesbrough in the FA Cup when we come back from this winter break, but I think it's a good move. I really do. And I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, well, why is he moving to Rangers? Because it's not a very competitive league, or the standard of football's not great, or this, that, and the other, or it's the same as a Championship league, or same as a League One league. And maybe some of the clubs in the SPL aren't of the best standard, but he's not going to those clubs. He's going to the side that's top of the league there. And that's good. Is that not good? You know, it'd be the same as if he went to, say, he went to a Championship club, but he went to the team that was top of the Championship. He would be fine about that. And if anything, like I said, I think this is better. I really do think this is better than if he went to, say, a Championship side, because of the atmosphere that he's going to be playing in, the environment that he's going to be playing in. I think people kind of forget when they talk about Scottish football, and maybe this is just because when I grew up, Scottish football was slightly different to what it is now. When I was growing up, Celtic and Rangers were still, getting out of the group stages in the Champions League, or Rangers and Celtic, for that matter, were getting to Europa League finals and competing in Europe still. That doesn't happen anymore. The money's definitely dried up. Right when I was growing up, you had people like Henrik Larsson at Celtic, and he was scoring goals and considered one of the best strikers in the world at the time. And things have changed slightly, right? I remember when people like Paul Gascoigne was going to Rangers. That's when Scottish football really still meant something. And I know it's not the same as it once was, and I know things have changed and time has changed when it comes to that, but you're still competing every single week in Ibrox, in a big stadium, in front of dedicated, passionate fans. You're going to be playing in an environment, as I mentioned, those old firm matches, you can't get that experience anywhere else. That is invaluable experience, especially to a young player. So I think it's a really good move. I mean, so many people say that, when they talk about some of the best, what's the best derby atmosphere in world football? Is it Manchester United versus Liverpool? Is it the North London derby? Is it the Milan derby? Is it this? Is it that? Is it El Clasico? Is it whatever? And you might laugh, but still some people say to this day, the best atmosphere, like legitimate atmosphere at a football match for a local derby is Rangers Celtic. And it doesn't really matter of the quality of football. You might tune into that game and the standard and quality of football might be terrible, but the atmosphere is still there. It's still something you have to deal with and you have to grow. And I think that game time's one thing, and him playing, if he plays every single game between now and the end of the season, it's more senior games than he's played in his entire career. So that's why it's important alone. Because again, I think he's played, let me get his stats up in front of me once again. 4 senior games for Atalanta, 3 for Manchester United. That's what really we're looking at here. So if he plays every game between now and the end of the season, he'd have played more games than he would have played in his entire senior career. That's why this move is important, because he needs game time. And to be honest, frankly, he's 19. So that alone, having 7 senior games by 19, for someone that you spent 40 million on, you'd want to have him play way more games than that, frankly. So it's really now or never when it comes to the game time too. And again, I know he's had a couple of injuries and all that kind of stuff, but he needs to start playing sometime. And he needs to start proving that he is worth the money that we spent on him. It's a lot of money to spend on the player that we haven't really seen much about. It's a lot of money to spend on the player that, people, to be honest, I think if you ask a lot of Manchester United fans, do you rate Amad? I think the question would be, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of him. And if he goes away and has a great 6 months at Rangers, wins a title, wins a cup, then I think a lot of people will be saying when it comes to next season, actually, maybe he can be part of, maybe not the starting 11 at Manchester United, but certainly he can be part of the squad. Certainly he could be a useful player to have. And if not, if he has 6 months and it's like, yeah, he was okay, but he might need some more time, then you have another loan deal. But this is exactly what he needs. I think, as the report mentions via Fabrizio Romano, it's time to ramp up that development of Amad Diallo. And certainly with all of these young players, with the size of the squad we have, he's just not going to play. That is just a fact. When people like Anthony Martial and Jesse Lingard and Donny van der Beek, yes, I know different positions, but when more senior, more experienced players are struggling to get into the starting lineup, then Amad certainly is not going to get in there. It's just not going to happen. So I think it's a great move for him. I think it's a smart move by Manchester United. I don't think, to be honest, it has much effect on any other transfer business when it comes to incomings that we would be doing, because it doesn't really affect that. It's not a case of, we need to replace Amad, or, we've got Amad's wages off the book, so now we can get someone else in. It's not that kind of loan. It's more of a development loan. So I don't think because we've got rid of Amad, then we're definitely going to get in Kamara now or someone of that nature. I think if Donny van der Beek goes, and who knows what will happen there, looks to be more rumblings about that today. If Donny van der Beek goes, then maybe something else could happen when it does come to an incoming. Amad's is purely for Amad, I think, and purely for his development. So that's the situation when it comes to Amad Diallo. A 6-month loan is all but confirmed. Fabrizio Romano said, here we go. So he is set to join Rangers on a 6-month loan for Manchester United. Agreement reached on 6-month loan. There's no buy option included. As I mentioned, Ralph Rangnick approved this to be completed and signed in the next hours. He's already in Scotland to complete the move. So Amad is the latest name out of the Manchester United camp in the January transfer window. A couple of other things as well. I think we may have another video coming up to later today, depending on some transfer news and stories or whatever. So be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Smash a like on the like button as well. You'll be notified when they go up. Some really exciting stuff coming up the weekend as well. You have asked for it. the quiz is coming back. The quiz is coming back on Sunday, which is super exciting as well. So be sure to tune in for that. And then Monday, we're going to have a load of content and videos and discussion and chat around the transfer deadline as the window shuts on Monday as well. So plenty of content coming in the coming days. So be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Be sure to smash a like on the like button as well. Have a great Thursday, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.